Welcome back for our second day of Vacation Bible School. We want to invite everybody to the church building on Wednesday night for Bible class, and then we're going to have one more video on Thursday night, and then Saturday morning will be our Super Saturday from 9 o'clock in the morning until 2:30 in the afternoon. And make sure that you go to the Olive Branch website to register for Vacation Bible School. Now for today's theme, we're going to be talking about marketplace workers. Have you ever been with one of your parents to the grocery store or to Walmart when you need to go buy stuff? Well, back then they didn't have grocery store or Walmart. They went to the marketplace and they could buy all sorts of things at the marketplace. Let's sing some songs. Jesus loves the little children, all the children of the world. Red and yellow, black and white, they are precious in His sight. Jesus loves the little children of the world. Now, if you remember, in yesterday's video, we talked about being a fisherman, and so we're going to sing again, Peter, James, and John in the sailboat. So get your sailboats out. Peter, James, and John in a sailboat. Peter, James, and John in a sailboat. Peter, James, and John in a sailboat out on the deep blue sea. Fished all night, caught no fishes. Fished all night, caught no fishes. Fished all night, caught no fishes out on the deep blue sea. Along came Jesus, walking along the seashore. Along came Jesus, walking along the seashore. Along came Jesus, walking along the seashore, out on the deep blue sea. Cast your nets on the other side. Cast your nets on the other side. Cast your nets on the other side, out on the deep blue sea. Filled their boats full of fishes, filled their boats full of fishes, filled their boats full of fishes out on the deep blue sea. Now we're going to learn a new song called I Want to Be a Worker for the Lord. Sometimes when we're in church together on Sunday, you'll hear all the grown-ups sing this song. So if you learn it now, you'll be able to sing along with the grown-ups when we sing it. It goes like this. I want to be a worker for the Lord. I want to love and trust His holy word. I want to sing and pray and be busy every day in the vineyard of the Lord. I will work, I will pray in the vineyard of the Lord. I will work, I will pray, I will labor every day in the vineyard of the Lord. All right, now we're going to work on today's memory verse. It comes from Colossians chapter 3, verse 23. Whatever you do, work heartily as for the Lord and not for man. Colossians chapter 3, verse 23. Whatever you do, work heartily as for the Lord and not for man. And now we're going to have our Bible study, and we're going to have our Bible class, and then we're going to have our craft.
Good morning. Thank you for joining us again today. This week we are talking about different occupations or jobs in the Bible. Yesterday you talked about fishermen. Today we're going to learn about marketplace workers. Do you ever go shopping with your mom or dad? Today when we go shopping, we usually call those places stores, but another word for that would be a market. You may have gone to a flea market or a farmer's market. These are places where people take things that they have made or that they have grown or maybe that they have bought themselves and they're selling for a little extra money. And you can go to these places and you can buy these things. If you have a special talent or something that you're good at, then you could create something or grow something and that would be a great way for you to make extra money and share it with other people. Back in Bible times, they had marketplaces, and today we use money when we go to stores or markets. They use money some too, but they also did something called bartering or trading. If two people had something there, let's say someone had a booth with animals and another person had a booth with pots. The man selling the pots might need a donkey for his farm, and the man selling the animals might need pots to gather water for his animals. And so if the two men both had something that the other one needed, then they could trade or barter instead of paying money. Today we're going to look at different lessons from the Bible that we hear about marketplace workers. Jesus talked about marketplace workers in one of his parables. He often used parables to help people understand things they might not understand otherwise, but he would use an idea that they need something about in order to explain the situation to them and tell them a story and help teach them something about how to do things right for his kingdom. The men in this parable that I'm about to tell you, they were not workers in the marketplace as in that they were selling things, but they were at the marketplace in order to find work. And so they became workers because of the marketplace, even though they were not workers at the marketplace. So Jesus told the story about a vineyard owner who went to the marketplace to find people who could help in his vineyard. They were just standing around, and so he would go up to them and hire them to work. And several times a day, he would go back to the marketplace and get more workers. And as he would do this, he would offer them a certain amount of pay, and they would agree to that certain amount of pay, and that was money that they could earn to help their families. At the end of the day, everyone got the same amount of pay. Even if they'd only been there a short time, they got the same amount of pay as someone who had been there all day. And some of the men were very upset about this because they had worked so much longer than the others. But Jesus reminded them in the story that they had agreed to the same amount in the beginning, and in the beginning that amount had been okay. We can learn from this parable because some of us have been Christians our whole life, and others may not learn until later in life, but we're all going to have the same reward. Like those men, they had all been waiting at the marketplace for an opportunity for someone to ask them to work, and since the vineyard owner kept going back to find more, they were all given the opportunity to earn what they needed. For the rest of the lesson today, we're going to talk about some people that had talent making things that other people could need or use. Not all of these people sold what they had, but they all provided it for others. The first person that we're going to talk about is Dorcas. And Dorcas was very important. We read about Dorcas in the book of Acts. And what Dorcas did was make things for people who were needy, people who needed things and couldn't necessarily afford to buy them for themselves. She would make coats and garments for them. And the people loved Dorcas very much because she had a good heart. One day, Dorcas died. And when she died, the people were so sad. And so the disciples called for Peter. Remember Peter from the story of the fisherman yesterday? They called for Peter, and Peter went up to the room where she was. And all the widows were there, and they were showing all the clothes and garments that Dorcas made, showing how important she was to them. And she was a very special lady. And so Peter went upstairs into the room where she was, and he prayed to God, and Dorcas woke up. And because of that miracle, many people began to believe in the Lord. Later in the book of Acts, we read about a man named Paul. Now, Paul was not nice to Christians when we first read about him. But after God spoke to him on the road to Damascus, he became a great missionary. On one of his trips to preach to people, he stopped in a city named Philippi, and there was a woman there named Lydia. She was originally from a town named Thyatira, which was known for dyeing fabric to give it color. The Bible tells us that Lydia was a seller of purple fabric. You can see she's in a purple dress in this picture. Lydia was a worshiper of God, and she went to hear Paul speak. So after hearing him speak, she and her entire household were baptized. She invited Paul to stay with her and her family at her house. Lydia may have worked in the marketplace to sell her purple fabric. After that, Paul continued to travel and to teach about Jesus. And after visiting other cities, he traveled to a place called Corinth. There was a man there named Aquila and his wife named Priscilla. The two of them were tent makers. Paul was also a tent maker by trade, so he decided to stay there and work. That meant that they made tents and sold them, maybe in a marketplace. During this time, he preached in the synagogue to teach the Jews about Jesus. Aquila and Priscilla were good friends to Paul, and they were able to help him teach a man named Apollos about the baptism of Jesus. There are lots of things that we can learn from these parables. First of all, from the parable of the vineyard workers, we learn that they were willing to work. They were at the marketplace because they wanted to work. The vineyard owner kept going back and looking for people. Just like we as Christians who love God, we need to keep going out and searching for people to teach about God and to help them work for God. For Dorcas, we know that she was a great helper to people. She helped lots of people by giving them clothes that they needed, and they loved her because of that. And because of her, and because Peter was able to pray to God and raise her from the dead, then lots of people believed in God and Jesus after that. From Lydia and Aquila and Priscilla, if you remember, they all had Paul into their home. They were willing to listen and to help teach, and they were hospitable. We need to remember to be hospitable as Christians and make other people feel welcome. When they attend church, we need to welcome visitors, or we need to invite them into our home to encourage them. And finally, we know that we need to make God happy. All of these people did that. Paul made God happy by becoming a Christian and by going out and teaching. And the most important thing is that whatever we are doing, what job we are doing, we want to do things that make God happy and not just what make men happy. Before we end today, we're going to review our memory verse one more time. It is from Colossians chapter 3, verse 23. And it says, "Whatever you do, work heartily as for the Lord and not for men." Whatever you do, work heartily as for the Lord and not for men. We hope you join us for our next lesson on Thursday, and hope you have a great rest of your day today.
Hey everybody, it's Harley again, and that means it's craft time. So in today's lesson for VBS, you talked about some marketplace workers. And in the market, you have a lot of people who carry around little bags. And in these bags, they may carry their coins or use bigger bags to carry all their goods that they bought at the market. So today, I'm going to teach you how to make a craft, and you're going to make a bag out of a piece of fabric like this and a piece of yarn like this. And we're going to make our own bag so that you can carry your coins or your goods that you buy at the market. So for this craft today, all you're going to need is your piece of fabric, your piece of yarn, and some hole punchers. That way we can make holes around our piece of fabric that our string can go through to tie our bag and make it into a bag. So first thing, you're going to get your piece of fabric and use your hole puncher to make holes all the way around it. So we're gonna push it straight up in there and just pop a hole all the way around until you have your holes like mine. So we're just gonna have spread out holes all the way around. And you can take your time because the fabric might be kind of tough. So then all you're gonna do is use our yarn, and at one end you may need to get a little piece of tape to tie around the string so that it's easier to thread through those holes, especially if they're small. And then all you're going to do is thread it around and put it through every single hole. And the more holes you have, the better your bag might close. So I've started to thread mine. I'm going to thread it all the way around. also works a little better after you poke it through the hole if you pull it out more so that you have a little extra slack to get through there. So we're just weaving it in and out of each of those holes. And as you start to get more around it, you can see how our bag is starting to gather up together. And we've almost made it all the way around. And then if yours ends up like this, where your last hole is right here, you're gonna string it through the same hole as you started, so that way we can just tie it up and we have a little drawstring bag. I'm gonna put a knot in mine, like this, so that I can open it and then tighten it. So now you have your little sack, and now I can carry things in it. And you can tighten it up and tie it as tight as you want so that you won't drop any of your goodies out of your bag. And you can even tie a little bow right here if you want.
Okay, let's practice our memory verse again. Colossians chapter 3, verse 23. And whatever you do, work heartily, as for the Lord and not for man. Colossians chapter 3, verse 23. Whatever you do, work heartily, as for the Lord and not for man. Okay, let's sing some more songs. Everybody get your lights out. We're going to sing This Little Christian Light of Mine. Ready? This little Christian light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little Christian light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little Christian light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine all the time, let it shine. Hide it under a bushel, no, I'm gonna let it shine. Hide it under a bushel, no, I'm gonna let it shine. Hide it under a bushel, no, I'm gonna let it shine all the time, let it shine. Don't let Satan it out, I'm gonna let it shine. Don't let Satan it out, I'm gonna let it shine. Don't let Satan it out, I'm gonna let it shine all the time, let it shine. All around the neighborhood, I'm gonna let it shine. All around the neighborhood, I'm gonna let it shine. All around the neighborhood, I'm gonna let it shine all the time, let it shine. I want to be a worker for the Lord. I want to love and trust His holy word. I want to sing and pray and be busy every day in the kingdom of the Lord. I will work, I will pray in the vineyard of the Lord. I will work, I will pray, I will labor every day in the vineyard of the Lord. Okay, we have one more song to sing, because we want everybody to be back. We want everybody to be at Bible class on Wednesday night, and then the video on Thursday, and then everybody invite all your friends to the Super Saturday on Saturday morning. So let's sing Booster. Booster, booster, be a booster. Don't be grouchy like a rooster. Booster, booster, be a booster, and boost our Bible school. Booster!